Battlefield 6 Open Beta Week 2 is just 1 day away. We received some pretty giant information from the famous Battlefield data miner Temporal about a possible custom search coming in Battlefield 6. This will not be present, of course, during the Open Beta Week 2, but it is something that might come in Battlefield 6 in the future. And I got pretty excited, because this custom search would fix most of my problems I had with Battlefield 6 matchmaking. If you guys are planning to play a Battlefield 6 and you want to have real opinions, not paid, not sponsored, not Call of Duty tourist, real Battlefield player, I'm your guy. Consider dropping a like and a subscription, and thank you so much for your consideration. You will be able to select a mode and map preferences to prioritize in your matchmaking search. Of course, matchmaking time would depend on your selections and your region. So let's say you live, for example, in South Africa, 6 months after launch into Battlefield 6, your region might become a little bit less populated as it was in previous Battlefield games, or it might not. Who knows? But just judging by the past, if this does happen, of course, you might have to tweak your matchmaking settings here and there to actually get matches faster, or the game will do it for you just to get you into a match. So let's say that I, somebody who is from Europe, wants to play Liberation Peak on Breakthrough. I can then check those boxes in the matchmaking according to Temporal, and it will try to find me that match as soon as possible. Temporal also provided a few examples himself. Just finished a match in Liberation Peak, now give me a different map. Preference, select all maps except Liberation Peak. I want to fly jets. Preferences, select Mirak Valley, Operation Firestorm, New Sobek City, and Liberation Peak. Need to grind a few weapon attachments, infantry only please. Preferences, select Empire State and Saint Quarter. He kinda leaked a couple of things here. If you see guys, the new maps Empire State and Saint Quarter seem to be infantry only according to his data mine. This is gonna be one of the map we play tomorrow, I think. Empire State, I'm pretty sure, is the big Brooklyn Bridge map. So this is an infantry only map. I'm gonna be very curious to see how this plays out. I do know that during the multiplayer reveal event for the game, many of the streamers actually ended up playing this map, but I just couldn't see any vehicles back then. I just assumed that they weren't spawning in the vehicles, as most of the creators there were Call of Duty creators, and they generally just don't use vehicles. But now, if this data mine confirms there is no vehicles, this adds yet another kind of infantry-focused small map into the mix here. I'm very curious to see how this will go down with the community, because from my circles, the thing I have been hearing the most is that people would like to play kind of large maps in Battlefield 6, or at least have a couple of them ready in the matchmaking settings. Well, the good thing is that David Sirlin also confirmed that large maps do in fact exist. Speed is a factor on map size. We picked these maps to make sure we hit the full octane version of Battlefield on the head, and made everyone see we can handle it too. Large maps exist, and the tempo scales accordingly. You'll be able to see soon enough. So I'm guessing after the beta, the Battlefield labs will open up, and we will actually be able to play some of the larger maps in a Battlefield 6, which I think is a nice addition. For me personally, I'm not a huge big map enjoyer. I think the map size, which is kind of a cap for me, would be Operation Firestorm, which is kind of funny because Operation Firestorm is also coming in Battlefield 6 for the second time being remade. This time around, however, I'm not very hyped for it coming into the game because I already had it in BF3 and BF4, and I played it there for hundreds of hours. Generally, I'm not a huge fan of map remakes. I like to have original maps in a brand new Battlefield game rather than play some old remade stuff. I understand why it's being made, I support it being made, but it's just something that I will try to stay away from if I can. And considering we're now getting these matchmaking preferences, perhaps, then maybe I can do that. But let's also not kid ourselves here. I think we all understand why they chose the smaller maps for Open Beta Week 1. Obviously, they wanted to please the Call of Duty players and make them feel a little bit more in home, rather than slamming them on Operation Firestorm, where they would most likely just get farmed by vehicle players. I think this is clear why they chose maybe Siege of Cairo and Iberian Offensive. Personally, I did find Iberian Offensive to be my favorite map from the 3 maps we played in the Open Beta Week 1. Iberian Offensive on Conquest was extremely fun to play as recon with the open weapon system. I would slam an AK-205 with a suppressor, put a spawn beacon near their headquarters, and just keep constantly coming behind them with my squad. It was some of the most fun I had during the Battlefield 6 Open Beta Week 1. In my opinion, in order for the very large Battlefield maps to feel at home, to feel Battlefield, you need to have very good vehicle physics. Well, DICE has heard that outcry and will be changing the air vehicle physics. DICE is working on a large tuning pass on helicopter flight mechanics based on community feedback and their own data/goals for where these vehicles were in the beta. Here's what Sirlin said: there is no revert, but a large pass on helicopter flight is in progress and coming after beta for testing, most likely in Battlefield Labs. I'm hoping that after the look at the helicopter, which in my opinion has it the worst when it comes down to vehicle physics, that there is still maybe time to look at the tank and the jets as well. For tank, I'm specifically speaking only about his maneuverability and also the input lag he does seem to have in first person, even with zoom optics. Back in the day, in some other Battlefield games like Battlefield 2042, when there was input lag in the tank, when you went into the zoom optics, you didn't have input lag. But here, the zoom optics is very, very slowed down, just like it is in the first person unzoomed. So I'm kind of hoping this all gets a little bit fleshed out before launch, just for consistency's sake. It doesn't feel good having this random input lag in the tank, in my humble opinion. And when it comes down to the maneuverability of tank, I really feel like he needs a little bit more. Because think about it, the engineer has 5 rockets per person. So if there's a squad of engineers, you're fighting 20 rockets. If you don't have a repair, you're playing alone, let's say, you just don't have anybody online to repair you, you're playing on Liberation Peak offense, it's gonna be pretty hard for you to stay alive getting spammed. You really cannot dodge RPGs in Battlefield 6 Open Beta. So they're gonna have to do something here for the tank when it comes down to survivability, and I think just giving him maybe a little bit of boost in maneuverability so that you can dodge some of them, just going left and right. I think this would be maybe just enough to make tank feel a little bit more consistent and a little bit more fun to play as well. He just doesn't really have any acceleration to him. He just feels that you're the same speed in the tank at all times. Just feels a little bit odd. A new update has also dropped for Battlefield 6 Open Beta client, 3.1 GB on Steam, 4.1 GB on the e-app, and then a couple of hundreds of megabytes on the consoles. I'm not sure why the console size is so much smaller compared to the PC, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. They did say that the game version is the same, but the code and the data are different. We do know from week 1 that we will be playing the exact same client we have played in week 1. So if you're expecting some big changes here, balance things, maybe some extra new content other than the maps, it's not going to happen. We're going to be playing the exact same thing. I also did some updates on my computer. Yesterday, I spent the entire day building this bad boy. Here are the specs on the screen. My old PC, which I played in week 1, just wasn't very adequate anymore for Battlefield gaming. My FPS was all over the place. It was stuttery. I had choppy aim because of it. So now I got some serious upgrades as well. I'm super excited to play tomorrow with this thing. Today, I will be overclocking a little bit or undervolting things and just see how everything goes. I will be streaming for the most of the time I'm online tomorrow on Battlefield 6 Open Beta. So if you want to hop in and say hi, then feel free to do that. And that's basically it for the video. If you enjoyed it, then leave a like and a comment. If you were new here, subscribe. I will be pumping Battlefield 6 content. Real Battlefield player. I'm not sponsored. I'm not paid by EA. And I'm not a quad tourist streamer. So you will be getting raw, unfiltered Battlefield content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye bye.